Attention, all curious minds, innovators, and trendsetters. It's time to pause, lean in, and get ready for an extraordinary journey as we dive deep into the fascinating realms of life, technology, entertainment, and business. Let's explore, learn, and grow together. Brace yourselves, for the next thrilling episodes of Hipther Talks is about to take off. Counting down from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And here we go.
Hi everyone, Zoltan here. We're back again this week at Hipther Talks, and now we are talking about artificial intelligence. And we have the pleasure of having Shira Simmonds with us. Hi Shira, nice to have you here.
Hi Zoltan, nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right, so as the tradition here at Hipther Talks is that we like to give the opportunity for our guest to share a few words about himself, herself in this case. So it's best put in the words of the participants. So Shira, tell our audience about yourself.
Sure. My name is Shira Simmonds. I am based in Israel. I am the CEO of SSC Digital, and recently I have launched another technology company called SmartReach AI. SSC Digital is a lead generation company, and we've been in business for about 13 years. We have about 60 people in the company now. Everybody is remote. I've been running remote companies for over 20 years now.
Right.
And by doing a lot of lead generation and basically booking calls with decision makers for our clients, I realized that there was really a necessity to automate a lot of what is being done manually, and also take it to the next level by hyper personalizing and moving away from like bulk email and bulk cold LinkedIn messaging. And so I built the technology SmartReach AI that I'm happy to share a lot about with you during this podcast.
All right. So love the hat, by the way.
Thank you. This is my brand. I always wear a hat. So if you see me, I will be wearing a hat.
We have a similar person at our conference is usually wearing a Panama hat, so we can recognize him every time. He said the same thing. That's his brand.
Exactly. I'm not so tall, but you could see my hat. So you'll find me in the crowd.
All right. So could you share the story of how you founded SmartReach AI and during such challenging times, as we read, because we already did some sort of digging in the background. And we also want to know what motivated you to keep pushing forward despite the obstacles you encountered.
Well, there's a lot of challenging times. Are you talking about the challenging times in Israel right now, or the challenging times of my development product?
Both of them.
Yes. Oh my gosh. There could be a whole separate podcast just on like how to build a company during war. And I'm sure, people in the Ukraine and people in Israel and many other countries, unfortunately, can, attest to what it's like. It was honestly, it was challenging, but at the same time, it was therapeutic. I personally, I am a mom of 4. Thank you. I mean, they're older now. So I have 2 boys and 2 girls. My first 2 boys are both in the Army. One is in reserves. One just finished his service and started reserves. And then my husband is a physician, and he's also in reserves. And then my next daughter is a paramedic. So when this happened, when October 7th happened, our lives were turned upside down. My son was called into reserves, into the tank unit where he is. My other son was in technology intelligence. He didn't come home for months. My daughter had to go to different houses and tell families that their child was kidnapped or killed. And she was the paramedic there to like resuscitate the family. She was 18 at the time. She's 19 now. So nobody's trained for that. So it was, everybody in my family lost people. My son's best friend in his unit was killed at the Nova party. My daughter's paramedic instructor was killed in a kibbutz Be'eri, where she was saving people's lives to the last minute. My other son lost very good friends. I think I must have been to at least 10 funerals of people that I know, their kids, and it like nothing can describe what that's like. So what I did to get through it was push myself into my work. And it honestly was my therapy, because otherwise I would go crazy. There were days I didn't hear from my son. I don't know what was going on, where he was, very difficult. My husband was away a lot. So in order for me to get through it, I said, you know what, I'm going to really put everything into SmartReach AI, which I was planning to anyway, but it was very therapeutic. So that's kind of how I dealt with it in a very challenging time. And SmartReach AI is really a culmination of many years of doing things manually, right? So for 13 years, I was doing this lead generation, and we would build lists of people that meet the criteria of who we're trying to target. We would craft these emails, and we would, craft LinkedIn messages and send them out and book calls for our clients. And the company was doing really well, thank God, very profitable, never had outside investors. I was really blessed, and I built this amazing team. And then, like this, I would say quasi recession hit, and companies started getting really, really stressed. So in addition to the war, we had this economic pressure that was happening. And a lot of my first of all, a lot of my clients, I would say 60% of our client base are Israeli. So my clients, CEOs, CTOs, were being called into reserves. So they had to cancel their contracts, right, with us. So it was really just a very stressful time in many, many ways, financially, emotionally. And so I realized, you know what, I got to really pivot, okay, for many reasons. And we decided to take all of the data. Like, one of our values is that we have sent over 25 million emails, okay? So I said to myself, like, imagine if I was able to know what would be the best subject line, the best call to action, the best tone, the best length for each and every persona. Like, there's no way humans can do that deep level analysis. So I hired data scientists, and we started doing this research, and we first wanted to see, is there actually any correlation between content and personas? Can we see that CEOs in the US with 200 employees in the advertising industry are responding differently than CEOs in the UK, right? For an example. And we tried to slice the data and see, and we actually found, wow, there are huge differences. The call to action is different, and a call to action could be like in an email, are you interested? Or, does 10 o'clock work for you? That's a harder call to action. So anyway, that's where SmartReach was built. And that was the way that I dealt with dealing with everything, was throwing myself into this and getting my mind off everything else.
Wow. All right. So there were obstacles as well, probably.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay. So I guess that balancing this role as a CEO, wife, and mother is must be challenging now. And how do you manage these responsibilities? And what advice could you maybe give to the others? Because most probably many are having similar challenges right now.
Yeah, for sure. So first of all, I'll also say I feel like I'm a mom of five because I have a daughter-in-law. My oldest son is married, and the war broke out. My son was here, so she stayed with us for 3 months, and that was also like, I felt this responsibility that her husband was called away. I felt this responsibility to take care of her and my team and my, and my parents who are elderly and my in-laws. So there's a lot of responsibility. I was worried about my parents. They were running to the bomb shelters. They're not that fast, right? So it was a little scary. So I I felt like I was splitting myself in many, many ways. How do I balance? There's no way one person can do it all. That's my number one thing. You could be a mom, you could be a CEO, but you need help. Okay. You cannot do it all. So the first thing is I looked at, okay, what can I outsource? In the house specifically, what can I outsource? The domestic help. What were my priorities? My priority was, I want to spend time with my family and make sure that they're emotionally stable. My youngest daughter is 17. She lost people that she knows. That's very difficult, right? So she was scared. So I needed to make sure that when she got home from school, I was available to her emotionally, right? That was my biggest priority. My company, I prioritized everything, my company, and then all the housework was not a priority. So that I could easily outsource. In my company, I also looked at what are things that only I can do. Okay. What are things that I can get help from really strong minds? And so I have my team who I really leaned on, and I delegated a lot. okay? So that I can focus on the things that I know only I can do. And I think that's one mistake that some people make, or maybe this misconception is that you can do it all, but you can't. You're one person. So surrounding yourself by prioritizing what only you can do, right? Delegating what others can do. And even though it's not going to be, this is my motto too, I know it's not going to be if 100% as if I did it, but if it's 80%, it's good enough, right? And where are things that have to be 100% that only I can do? So it's just about understanding that and then understanding how to delegate.
All right. So it's as I'm hearing myself a couple of years ago, because I had a similar thing with this delegating, and it's not easy to do that. Even though it's like, okay, these things I can delegate, it's not so easy to do it. You need to pick the right person. You also need to explain it to yourself that, okay, you will stop doing this. You will focus on other things and you cannot do it all. Yeah, I know how it is with
Yes.
with our media websites and our conferences. I was caught up in the same thing a couple of years ago. So yeah, I feel you on that. So we also read about SmartReach AI that is known now for transforming sales outreach throughout personalized emails, but most importantly, is backed by 20 million data points, right? So can you explain how the platform works and what sets it apart from traditional lead generation tools? Because we all get these types of emails and LinkedIn messages that are sometimes nonsense. So
Yes, a lot of times. So there's actually a few components to it. So the first component is the data analysis. So like I said earlier, we're analyzing the historical data. When we sent an email, how many emails, meet this criteria that we've sent, and what can we see are the data points that really will make it work the best. And the second stage after the data analysis, it was the historical data, is the personalization. So what we did is we scrape LinkedIn, even Twitter, sometimes Instagram, but mostly LinkedIn because it's B2B. And we don't just scrape, like a lot of personalization tools will just plug in, I see you're the CEO at SSC, right? Or I see you posted an article, whatever it is. We go a level deeper. So we analyze the LinkedIn profile and we'll look at, okay, what historically would this prospect, okay, this persona respond to? Is it something like ego stroking? So instead we say, wow, your journey from where you started as a sales manager at this company to your growth to being the head of sales, that's phenomenal. And the fact that you were able to, surpass your sales goals by 50%, right? Because we're summarizing this person's career and what we've analyzed. And then the next thing could be an article that you've written. So we have a personalization waterfall for each audience cluster. So we'll know these people will respond best first if you talk about an article. If there's no article, then talk about their career history. If there's, and it goes into each thing. Sometimes it's even languages and it'll start writing in their language and say, wow, it's amazing that you speak 2 languages. Sometimes it's their interests. Sometimes it's a lot of men, by the way, post on their LinkedIn, their criteria, and I'm a father. That's clearly very important to them, right? So we start off by saying, hey, you're a father, I'm a mother, I'm a father, and we try to find common grounds between the person that's sending the email. So it really, every single one from beginning to end is completely hyper-personalized with some common grounds between yourself and the person that you're emailing it to. So it looks like you spent hours researching and crafting each and every one. And then lastly, the third component is this learning engine. So as we know, things change, right? So the historical things that may have worked in the past, especially in lead gen, does not mean it's going to work now, right? So we have that historical data, but then we really lean on the learning engine to show us wars are happening, economies are crashing, people aren't responding the same way they used to, their priorities have changed. So what is happening in real time and what's working best so that we can optimize and rewrite. So the more you use the system, the better it gets, okay? Because it's continuously optimizing. So that's really what makes it unique. I'll just add something for your listeners, and I've never shared this before, so this is something unique, is that we're also building out smart data now, and smart data is going to be intent-based signals. So, for example, finding your competitors, right? And understanding who's following them on LinkedIn, who's engaging with them, keywords that people are posting. So really finding the prospects that would be much higher level of potential buyers than just scraping a list. And that's the next thing that we're building. So you'll have this intent-based data, and then you'll send them, hey, I see that you're following many companies, in AI. Would love to suggest another tool that you might like, right? So it's much more intent-based, both from the prospect side of their, intent, and second from the messaging. So that's going to be coming out soon.
All right. So there must be probably some other platforms like this, similar to yours, out there, because every time, each week, when we start posting about a subject that's going to be discussed at our conferences or a podcast about blockchain or fintech, I get millions, not millions, all right, hundreds of messages on LinkedIn about, oh, I saw you were looking for a payments provider. No, I just did a podcast about payments. So yeah, their optimization is not as good as yours.
Exactly.
All right, so maybe let's talk about also the scaling, because that's something that is interesting. And if there were some big challenges that you faced when launching and scaling SmartReach AI, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, I posted about this too. I'm very transparent because I think it's just so important for other CEOs and entrepreneurs to know that it's not always rosy. There are challenges always. I went through 3 teams of engineers until I found the right engineers to build what I was looking to build. I spent a lot of money and got nothing out of it. And that was really, really stressful because I had invested this budget into building the tool that I had dreamed of and envisioned and cooked in my brain for several years. And it did not work, and it wasn't good. And I had to scrap the entire thing. And until I was able to really find the right engineers for my team, and especially in AI, there's so many engineers that claim that they're, really experienced in AI, but there are really not many because it hasn't been around for that long, right? And so they all claim they could do it, they could do that, and in the end, it didn't work. So that was really, really difficult. Now, in terms of scaling, that I've passed that point and I have an amazing team, now it's really honestly about my roadmap because there's so many other things I want to do. And once this is also like, I guess, a contagious thing that happens to entrepreneurs. You build something, you're like, okay, now what? Now what? Now I want to do this. And so really trying to stay focused on, okay, this is our roadmap. This is where we're going. We're going to do this. And instead of hiring 100 engineers, I'm going to really perfect the features that we have now. I'm going to listen to my users. That was a big one for me. Like, I directly speak to our users and I want to understand what they like, what they don't like, and spend time doing that, and then scale it once you've been able to address those things, because otherwise it's not going to, people are not going to, the longevity is not going to be there.
So yeah, like the saying goes, sometimes you have to go back to the drawing board during the process. So at least listen to the users and hear what they have as feedback. So yeah, you have, like you mentioned, you have more than 15 years of experience in lead generation. So how has the industry evolved, and what trends do you see shaping the future of sales outreach? Because we've seen a lot of emails come in from Jennifer Lopez, Justin Timberlake, Ben Affleck, everybody
I
from outreach teams.
You're lucky. I don't get emails from them, but yeah, no, for sure. I mean, to your point, I think AI has changed the game in emailing and LinkedIn messaging now. I actually find that even more so on LinkedIn. I am getting so many people reaching out to me. It's like nonstop. And because they have AI, they're easily able to create content, but you can detect that it's AI if you are in the industry and it's not authentic. So that's something that I really spend time trying to, and I'm still working on. So yeah, I would say that the industry has changed because more people are sending. So you're getting a ton more now because it's easier to send. Okay. And the tools like Gmail, the ISPs are starting to really clamp down on these and putting them into spam. So it's actually getting much, much harder to get your email into an inbox. Right.
Yeah.
and to really come through as authentic and human. And that's something that we're really working on to perfect here.
All right. So I was in the meantime having one eye on my emails because
Okay.
I keep receiving many emails that look the same way coming from different companies, and you can tell that it's written with AI because they all have the same subject line and just have different offers in them. So people can now, if you have a good eye on this, you don't need to be an AI expert. You can already figure it out if that
For
is
sure.
original. All right. So your users have seen up to 50% increase in booking rates thanks to SmartReach AI. Could you talk about the specific strategies or maybe optimizations that contribute for such impressive results? Because 50% is good.
It's really good. And I'll tell you again, because there's a reason that it's working. There's a few reasons. One is because it's much harder, like I said, to get into the inboxes right now. One of the things that Gmail is looking at is this a bulk email, right? And as soon as they sent this, but you've just changed your name or just changed one word, right? What will happen is that they'll start putting you in the spam filter. You'll start going into spam. So the fact that SmartReach AI is a unique email for each and every person already keeps you out of the spam filters because it's not a bulk email. Everyone is different. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is really about segmenting your audience. So instead of sending with SmartReach AI, you enter in your prompts. So the prompts are, okay, what's your company description? So tell me a little bit about your company. Tell me the pain points of the prospects that you're targeting. So not your pain points, but if you're targeting salespeople, what are they struggling with? They're struggling to close more sales. What I like to say, what are they being hired and fired for? Okay. Because once you can really hit that and understand, listen, this person doesn't close their sales quarterly goals, they're going to be fired. So now you need to come and talk to them in that language, right? So first of all, segmenting your audience and putting in a different description, a different pain point, different strategic advantages that the system will pull for each and every persona. Okay. Like I said, what's going to affect a salesperson is going to be very different than the CEO. So you may be targeting, and they both might be decision makers in your company, right? You still can have a CEO sometimes that makes the decision about buying your product or service, or it could be a salesperson. So about understanding what each and every persona, and with a CEO not being hired and fired for, but how are they going to keep the company alive? How are they going to address their board or their investors, right? So it's a different message than it is to the head of sales, right? Even though they might both be your buying personas. So it's really about segmenting that and prompting SmartReach in the right way for the right people. Once you nail that, the system then will write the messaging. And it's also just about following very strict email deliverability rules, like not to send more than 30 emails per domain, right? And to also put your emails on warm up. There's a lot of things that you need to do from a structural email deliverability standpoint to make sure that you're not being triggered as spam and to make sure that you're going into the inbox. Because then once you're in the inbox, then you can look at being read. Another one thing that we found that does help sometimes is turning off the open tracking. I know that's a really important point because the open tracking tells you how many people have opened your emails, but many times that little solar link in the open tracking can cause you to go to spam. So it's about understanding the email deliverability. It's infrastructure that you need to have, connecting that with really personalized messaging, making sure that your list is the right people, understanding what they're being hired and fired for, and combining all those things, then you'll have a successful campaign.
All right, so to our listeners and viewers, make sure to also check out your SPF settings, your DKIM, the D marks, because those also count on this in this case. So yeah, getting back to this AI generated content, it's funny to see that there are no typos anymore, nowhere. So you can figure it out also from that. And it's funny to see there's always emojis in these text generated by AI.
There can be. You have to program it. Like we have a tone optimizer, so it knows what people will respond to emojis and who won't. So I like that. And also there's little tricks that you can do, by the way, to make it look more authentic. Like you can write in your follow-up email, sent from my iPhone. So it looks like you actually sent something from, there's little tricks like that we do
Love
as
it.
well.
That's
Make
good
it
to
look
know.
more authentic. Yes.
All right, so let's also talk about data privacy because in Europe, since the GDPR kicked in, it was a good thing for some because you need, like you said, segmentation is important. So it gave an opportunity for companies to clean up their email address list and also do some segmentation with call to actions. And so in this world where data privacy is increasingly important, how does SmartReach AI ensure ethical use of data while also maximizing the lead generation effectiveness? Because sometimes these can have a conflict between each other.
Yeah. So for us right now, we're not managing the data. So in GDPR, there's the controller and the
Yeah.
processor. So we're the processor. Okay. So the controller has different sets of rules that they need to follow, which is the client. Okay. But as the processor, we have very strict rules that we follow. So we're fully GDPR compliant. We have a compliance team that works on this with us, and we have very frequent calls. And there's a way that you need to manage your database if somebody opts out, what you need to do. But on SmartReach, typically that is something that I would suggest that each and every customer or user is familiar with those regulations and follows those regulations, because we're just the tool that's facilitating them.
All right. So let's also look back on your journey again. And maybe inspire our audience about some of the key lessons you learned as an entrepreneur, and maybe give some advice for the aspiring founders out there, especially the women entering the tech space, because they're in the past couple of years, this number has been growing and it's good.
Yes, no, first of all, I think as a woman, as a mother, I love that my kids see that I'm more than just a mother, okay? And they feel, whether they're the boys or the girls, because I have, two sets. I have a set of boys, a set of girls, that they're able to kind of see what a woman can do. And it's interesting with my sons, like they're looking at like that's what they want in their wives now. They want thinkers. They want, not that being a stay-at-home mom is anyone could choose what they want. My
Yep.
sister, stay-at-home mom, I have complete respect for that. But for me, it wasn't what I wanted. And it's all about having that choice, and understanding like if you choose to work, you can still have that balance. But again, like I said, you need to get that help. Surround yourself with good people, not just at work, okay, not just in your company, but also at home, to have the help that you need. I also put my kids to work as well. Like right now, my daughter's walking the dog and doing some things that she needs to do. Okay. While I'm on this podcast. And it's important for them to kind of see that kind of responsibility and how we're all part of, you start with your family and how you contribute and build responsibilities. And then you move into your community and how you can give to your community. So that's very important to me. As an entrepreneur, I also run a charity called Table to Table, where we help a lot of the soldiers and a lot of the families that were evacuated from their homes here in Israel. And we provide them with things that they need. So your kids kind of seeing your value system and seeing your work ethic and not being afraid of hard work. I think this is a big thing in our day and age. I would give this advice. It's like everyone's like, how can I work less and do less? And or I'm so afraid it's going to be so hard. It is. It's going to be hard. Nothing that works out great is easy, right? And I'm not afraid of that hard work. I love that hard work. And I think that that's a great, message to give people as well, is not to be afraid of working hard, because the reward that you get after working hard and seeing like, I put my time in, I got this, I could do this, and not shy away from it is, I think, a big, learning lesson that I would love to share with other female entrepreneurs.
All right. Thank you so much. And hopefully our audience gets some bullet points from it. And so now let's look also ahead. And as my final question to you about what's up next this year. Do you have any big clients signing up, or what are the plans for 2025?
Yeah, no, we definitely have some big clients. We're also targeting, small to medium-sized businesses as well with SmartReach, as well as bigger clients that have many SDRs. So we have both coming up, which is very exciting. As I mentioned, the smart intent data is going to be coming up. And then something else that we're working on, which I'm super excited about, is called Smart Call. And that's going to be for cold callers. So when you're on the phone, many of the dialers that you dial are dialing quickly until somebody answers, and you don't really know who's going to answer. So it's a little hard to like really personalize your script. So Smart Call is going to pop up information in a very easily readable format to say this person manages a team of 10 people. This person talks about being a father, so that on the call, you can really connect personally to those people without having to like quickly look up at their LinkedIn while you're on the phone with them. So those are the next two things in our roadmap that we're really excited for, by hopefully end of year.
All right, that's some big plans out there, and hopefully you can also integrate this new thing launched by Samsung, where you can have this live translation during the call.
Yes, I love that.
Which is very interesting.
Crazy. It's changing the game. Imagine if you could be on I love that, because we do reach out to a lot of people in other countries and they say, do you speak French? Do you speak Chinese? And I'm like, I wish I did. I'd love to talk to you. Right?
Yeah, just a switch on the translation and that's it. Where can people reach you?
So the best way is SmartReachAI.com is our website. And first of all, you could find me on LinkedIn, but also my direct email is Shira, SHIRAS, as in Simmons, Shira S at SmartReachAI.com.
All right. And if you are connecting with her on LinkedIn, she will accept in 5 seconds, by the way.
I will try my best.
All right. So thank you so much for your time. At first, we wish you all the luck with the project, and let's maybe huddle up next year again to hear more about how things work out with the other projects. So thank you so much. Stay strong. Take good care.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
And that's a wrap for this section of Hipther Talks. Thank you for being a part of our journey today. Don't forget to tune in next week for more insights and discussions. Stay connected with us on Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and more. Until then, keep exploring and keep growing. We'll see you next time.